Can we all just say hi, Hailie? Show some love because I'm really looking forward to this session today. We've got 45 slides, 5 slides to really crack on with today. Fedi had 44 yesterday, so we're beating it by 2. Well done, Hailie, and we're going to absolutely flow through. What I realized yesterday is sometimes you take a little bit to get going with the questions in the Zoom. So please don't be shy. There's no silly questions. This is such an important topic because, again, so many people struggle when it comes to building a business that is truly one that they feel like can be run like clockwork. And I've gone through the presentation and it is unbelievably good. I'm so glad that we're able to put this to the world. So Hailie, thank you very much. So I'm going to pass the floor over to your good self. Before we do, can everybody please let me know where you are tuning in from around the world? We've had Saudi Arabia, we've had Dominican Republic, we've had obviously the US, the UK. I'm looking for those lovely. We had Kenya, so worldwide
Wow.
audience. Rob's in Florida. Hey, Rob. Anne's in Southwest Scotland. Matt's in Michigan. We've got New York, North Carolina, Dallas. Somebody's also dropping in their website domains. I love that. All right. Miss Hailie Marie Anderson, the floor is yours. Thank you for doing this. I'll let you go.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. It's the last day, so hopefully everyone is still feeling motivated and excited. But yeah, I have a lot of slides to get through, so we're just gonna start. And if you have questions, don't be shy. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I will answer all of them. So yeah, let's get started. Today I'm going to be covering how I built a 5-star business fully remote. So for those of you who maybe have never seen me before, there's probably 3 big things you're wondering. Who am I? Why am I up here? Why did Mark ask me to do this? And what are you going to learn and what can you expect? Um, Next slide. So, also, I don't have control over the slide, guys, so don't mind if there's a little lag. We're still getting the flow together. But this is who I am. I'm Hailie. I am 22 years old. I have been doing Airbnb arbitrage for a little over 2 years. So, I rent all of my properties. I don't own any of my properties. And I started at 19 in high school. And from then, I have scaled to 58 properties, fully remote. I basically am a digital nomad. The last 4 weeks I've been traveling. I've been home for like 2 days in the last 4 weeks. So this is completely remote. I am not physically required to be anywhere except where my laptop or where my phone is. And with these slides, I'm going to teach you to do the same thing. Um, Life before short-term rentals definitely did not look like what it looks like now. I've always had some sort of like entrepreneurial spirit, I like to say, but I've worked at Target. I was a leasing agent. I started a yard card sign business in the peak of COVID. I've done drop shipping, UGC, agencies. I've done it all, but nothing has stuck quite like arbitrage has for me. And yeah, it's completely changed my life. So, what to expect? There's going to be 3 big things that I'm going to cover in these slides. First is how we're going to automate. Second is how to delegate, and third is how to scale. With all 3 of these, I mean, you have to do all 3 to be able to scale successfully. And scaling can be really, really good or really, really bad if you don't do the first 2 steps. So, I'm going to make sure that we cover both of those so you can scale successfully. Okay, this is a little question I have for you guys. If any of you in here do Airbnb already and you already have units, I'm curious. Do you operate locally or do you operate remotely? You can put this in the chat. And obviously, I can't see the chat, but
I will
maybe
let you
Mark.
know. I will let you
Yeah.
know. So we've got
Okay.
a nice mix of locally and remote. I would say it's about 50%, 50-50 right now.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Hopefully, if you are operating locally currently and you want to, branch out and grow and operate remotely, by the end of this, I guarantee you will. And if you are operating remotely, I guarantee you probably will learn something new as well. So this is perfect. I will ask again at the end of the slides. Yeah, so I don't live where I host, and I think that's the whole entire point of creating a business. I was very adamant on the fact I didn't want to create myself another terrible job that I hated. So with this job, obviously it's still a job, but I don't have to be tied down to a specific area. This is me in Italy living my best life, and I've traveled like I think I'm up to like 20 different countries. I'm never home really, and that's just like what I enjoy. If I want to be home, I can be, but this is fully remote, and I think that's the beautiful thing about this. Next thing I want to talk about is CEO versus operator mindset. I think this is something that I have struggled with in the past before. Everyone preaches, oh, I'm a CEO, oh, I'm a business owner, but there was a lot of times where I caught myself being more of an operator than a CEO. And I think this is a universal kind of thing where you start doing these little things and you're sitting there and you're like, what am I doing? This is taking up so much of my time. I'm being more of an operator in the day to day things than managing and scaling and growing. And I think it's good to recognize when you're being an operator and when you should really be a CEO. And kind of pivoting from that operator role to a CEO role has completely changed the growth and scale of my company. And it's still things I have to recognize now. Sometimes I'll catch myself doing things. I'm like, okay, this can be delegated or this can be automated, and recognizing that is just the first step. And the problem with doing it all yourself, which a lot of us probably either do it all ourselves now or have done it before, are three really big things. Obviously, the first one being burnout. You are just one person. It is quite impossible to do everything on your own. Micromanaging. Literally, you're going to catch yourself doing micromanagement for forever, and no one wants to do that. And also limited scalability. Since it is just you, there is no way in the world you can reach these big goals that are greater than you alone. You need a team. And the second you recognize that, hey, hiring a team or delegating and automating is not a reflection of my inability to do something. It's simply the fact that to reach those new levels, you need a team. Every single big company has teams. And if you want to grow, you need a team. So recognizing that is huge. Yeah, so the solution to doing that is to build a remote team to scale. My team is 100% remote. I have team members in the Philippines, I have team members in the States. I'm all over the place, but we're all remote and we run a 7-figure business every single day for the last 2.5 years. All right, so this is a little reflection, and if any of you maybe have pen and paper or you have your phone out, I highly recommend maybe taking a screenshot of this and doing this later. But I think doing time audits are really, really important. I do these not only for myself, but I also do this with my team as well. So there's a couple of things in a time audit that I recommend you do. The first one is to track your time. With this, I recommend setting a timer for like, say, an hour, 60 minutes. Set your timer, and within that hour, start working. Start working on whatever you're working on. And after you're done working for that 60 minutes or whatever you choose, categorize every single thing that you did within those 60 minutes. So, say you spent 20 minutes doing guest communications, you spent 20 minutes managing the cleaners. Whatever it is, categorize it. That way you can easily see which ones are your biggest time wasters. And by time wasters, I mean if you spent 40 minutes within this 1 hour doing guest communications, that is a red flag that, okay, you can delegate this out for cheaper than what it would cost you per your hour. And then from there, it makes it really easy to see what you can delegate. And then you can delegate it to someone else and remove it from your workflow. So you could do this for yourself and you can also do this for your team. But I highly recommend everyone to do a time audit. It makes seeing what you can outsource a lot easier than just trying to come up with it on your own.
I've just asked a question in the Zoom chat, and I'll ask it now so we can all start to type this in. Again, we've got nearly 100 people watching, which is amazing. So the question is, are you currently doing this? So this, what Hailie's put in front of you, are you currently tracking your time? Are you able to identify where these time wasters are?
Yes.
We've got sometimes new idea doing this. No, but I guess I should be. So this is good. This is really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and like I said, I do this myself too. So everything in here I do myself, and I've recognized it's helpful. And it's always good to continue doing. Just because I've done it once does not mean there's going to be new time wasters in my business. As I continue to grow and delegate things, there's always going to be new time wasters that I can then outsource again. Great, great, great. All right, yeah. This is a little question too. I have a couple of these, so I'm sorry, but it's good to get your brain working, and I kind of want you to reflect inwards as I go through these slides. But what is your number one time waster? It might be easier after you do the time audit, but usually you have an inkling of like what it could be. So it's good to just think about what you probably are wasting the most time doing.
So this is we've got pricing alignments by Hard. I put pricing alignments. We've got lots of other ones coming in. I feel like the number one for me at the present moment in time is going over transcriptions. I have lots of people doing calls on a daily basis, and my biggest time waste is going through transcriptions. But client reports, customer communications, updating pricing, you name it, it's all there.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're all very like they're all very real, and they all can be delegated or automated in some way to make it take up less of your time so that you can go spend time doing something else, which is the whole goal. All right, so some of the most popular that I hear on a regular basis are a couple of those that you mentioned. And I think these are the four easiest ones to outsource from the jump. So you have guest communications, cleaning coordination, pricing optimization, and maintenance request. These are the four ones that are the simplest to outsource or automate, delegate, and also the most common. Guest communications and cleaning by themselves take up like the majority of my time, my team's time in the beginning. But now I obviously have systems and people who do it for me, but they're so easily outsourced from the jump that you shouldn't be wasting your time doing them. So these are the four most common ones, but obviously as you grow and scale, there'll be new ones as well.
It's so funny. The four that you've put down here on the slides are literally the ones that people have put in the chat. So
Yeah.
it's like you foreshadowed what was coming, which is brilliant.
Yeah. All right, so next, which I love talking about this, is so fun, but I'm going to cover three really big things. So, how to hire, how to train, and how to retain. It's one thing to hire a VA or a team member, it's another thing to train them, but the biggest thing is retaining them and keeping them on your team long term. All of my VAs and team members have been with me for probably over a year. I think there's a couple newer ones, obviously, as we grow, but most of them have been with me for over a year, some a little longer than that. And there's value in retaining your team. You never want to hire someone and have them leave 3 days later. There's a whole process, and I'm going to cover all three of these.
Here we go.
Okay, so there's four major roles in the beginning that I highly think that everyone should outsource. They're the easiest to hire. So first one being is your virtual assistants. I currently have a team of 6 virtual assistants that run every single aspect of my business on a day-to-day. I barely am in there for any time. All I do is just be there for support if they need anything. Now, these VAs can do whatever you want them to do, whatever you feel you need support in, but mine do everything. So a couple of those things could be your guest communications. They can do your dynamic pricing. They can do your cleaner management. They can even do your direct booking management and any of the day-to-day operating tasks within the company. That is the probably biggest role in my company is my team of virtual assistants, followed along my cleaning team. Those two are like support each other like this, like glue. So your cleaning teams are responsible for maintaining those 5-star turnos. You need a cleaning team, you need a good cleaning team, and you need to be able to rely on them. The next role is your handymen and your runners. So typically, these can also be hired within your cleaning teams at times. So if your cleaner is like a wife and she has a husband, many times I have the husband become the handyman for me, and it's just a dream team. So your handyman will be responsible for fixing anything that the maintenance on the property may not be responsible for. And then you also have those runners. If you're like, hey, because again, we're remote, hey, this happened and I need some support. Can you run to the store and go grab batteries for me, or whatever it may be. If you need a runner, you have the option to have one. Or there's also amazing things like DoorDash, or multiple times I've ordered batteries on DoorDash. We have a lot of tech these days, so some of these things are not needed, but it's good to have the option.
I've got some really good questions that I just want to throw at you while we're going through this. And I think it's really topical to this. So the first one is, do you have virtual assistants that are around the clock 24/7? How does that work?
Yes. So I have a team of 6, and there is someone always working. So the first shift starts at 10 a.m. They work till 6, and then the next shift starts at 6, and they go all the way through the night until 9 a.m. So there's an hour gap between 9 and 10 where no one is technically working. But I'm always up at that time. So rarely ever anything happens, thank God.
Mhm.
But yes, there's someone always on the clock, even on the weekends as well.
Amazing. And here's a question for the Zoom and for everybody that is participating. How many of you have got a husband and wife team or a partner team with made up of cleaners and handymen? I feel like this is a worldwide thing. I can't think of anybody that I've come across who hasn't got this somewhere in their network. I feel like it's a phenomenon. The husband and wife combination is a thing. Daryl saying me. There's a couple of no's, there's a couple of yips. I think it's like the PMS question. You know, you ask this question and you'll get 10 different answers. I feel like with this, it's like the same thing with the husband and wife combination. Phenomenal.
Yes.
Um, Another thing as well that I've noticed on there is when it comes to pricing. So, do you outsource your pricing to a VA, or do you have a separate setup for that one?
So I my VAs do the daily price drops, but in terms of like more strategic things, I have someone completely else who does that, and like my revenue management and all of that. But my VAs drop the price every single day. So every single morning when they clock on at 10 a.m., the same message I get every day. And if I don't get it, I panic because I'm like, oh my God, like, are they okay? Like sometimes they're, 10 minutes earlier. One day the text comes in at 10:01 and I'm like freaking out.
Mhm.
Like, "Oh my god, are they okay?" But it's good morning, and then it's followed by we have X vacant units. These are the price I set them to, and then gradually throughout the day, so during lunch, they'll send me an updated pricing and vacancy number, and then as the day goes on, they're in charge of dropping it to make sure ideally we reach 100% occupancy every single day. And then in terms of the weekly, monthly, all those more strategic pricing strategies, I do that, and I also have someone else separate for my VAs who help me with that.
Nice. And a really good question. So, how many properties do you have at this present moment in time?
58.
And so you've got 6 VAs for
Yeah.
58 properties. How do you balance it in terms of, okay, I'm going to take on X amount of properties. Oh, I think I need to hire somebody else. How do you work out that formula? Or is it just a case of another formula that you work with in your mind in the business?
It's more so just being insanely vocal with my team that, like, hey, they know I'm actively scaling and they know what they're capable of without sacrificing the quality of their work. So I make sure it's a very safe space for them. I talk to them every single day. We have live calls every single Friday where it's just open. Is everyone happy? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you need support anywhere? What can I change to make it better for you? Is there something I'm missing? And then that's kind of how I gauge when we need to bring someone new on. Obviously, if I were to come in and, sign a 35 unit deal, which is in the works, I am obviously probably going to need to hire another VA, but I'm going to leave that up to me and my team to kind of discuss and say, hey, are you capable of taking on 35 more units? And with systems and SOPs, adding more units necessarily isn't more work when your systems are so good. So most of the time, I can keep the same amount of VAs when I add properties, but obviously there's a threshold. So I'm just very open with them.
And do you have a VA who is in charge of the VAs? Do you have one person who is like the senior, or at the moment in time, is your team small enough where you are that person right now?
Nope. So I have one head VA, and then I have five. They're still all qualified to do basically everything, but the head VA has just a tad bit more control and experience. So she kind of manages the VAs as well. And then if there's any issues within the team, they go to her, and then I'm kind of the last resort. And they're like, hey, Hailie, like, so sorry to bother you, but we're kind of confused on this. Like they come to me as the last resort because the head VA is basically me.
I like that. I like that. And you
Yes.
are potentially about to double your portfolio with one big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Fingers
And
crossed.
everybody, 22 years old. I don't know what you were doing at 22 years old, everybody, but I didn't know my arse from my elbow at 22. So look at you go, which is amazing. So
Thank
well
you.
done. Arse from elbow is a very British term. I'll teach you it one day what it means.
Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic. You're doing amazing. Right. Really, I love the next question because we're foreshadowing the next slide, which is amazing,
Yes,
which
we
is
are.
where to hire the peoples. How do you hire? Where do you hire the people? So back to you, Hailie. Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's one thing to know who you need to hire, but it's another thing to know where to find these people. So I want to talk about virtual assistants first. You will hear me talk a lot about virtual assistants, but I mean they run my whole business for me, so it's very important to talk about. Onlinejobs.ph. I literally, this is my favorite software ever. It's basically a bunch of VAs. They all live overseas. Most of them live in the Philippines. They have very, very cheap rates and they work insanely, insanely hard. And with the time difference, it makes hiring them to work 24/7 on the clock very, very easy, because there's always a shift available. Another thing, a lot of these VAs on here actually have experience working at these OTAs. So a lot of them have worked at Airbnb, they've worked at VRBO, and that is very, very valuable. My head VA was tier, I think, 3 at Airbnb for like 5 years. With that comes a lot of back end knowledge that she actually taught me. Like, hey, this is how Airbnb does reviews. This is how Airbnb boosts your listing. All this is very important information, and a lot of them on there have experience doing that. They also have really great English. So if you need them to do any of your outreach, whether it's cold calling or emailing, they can speak on the phone very, very well. And those are all very important things to note when you are hiring these virtual assistants. My team does all of my outreach, they do all of my day to day managing. So I need them to be qualified to do all of these things. The next thing is your cleaning teams. You can use Turno to find them. Turno is, I'm pretty sure, global right now. So they have cleaners in basically all over the world, and they're also pre-vetted. So they have reviews, so you can see, how they've worked with other people in the past, and also they're vetted to clean Airbnbs. Cleaning a house and cleaning an Airbnb are two separate things. Yes, they both need to be cleaned, but there's a lot of things that go into cleaning an Airbnb that may necessarily not go into cleaning a house. So making sure that your cleaning team knows or has experience cleaning Airbnbs is crucial, and Turno kind of helps you vet through those a little bit easier. And then also handyman and runners. So I did put two options here because, again, there is places to find them, but usually you can double down within your cleaning team to find these. But Thumbtack is literally, love it. I love it for staging units remotely. If I'm not in town, I have built fully remote teams through Thumbtack to completely stage properties for me across the world. Like, go to the storage unit, pick up the boxes, bring them to the properties, open them, build all the furniture, take the trash out, stage it, all through Thumbtack. So if you need handymen, you need people to mount your TVs, maybe one day there's a hole in the wall. You hire someone on Thumbtack, they go fix it. And then also runners. Local Facebook groups are like tried and true. If you have a property in Nashville, go on Facebook and type in Nashville Airbnb, Nashville Airbnb cleaners. There is so much value in connecting with the local community. And if there's always cleaners in these Airbnb groups, and they're also kind of vetted as well, because if it's in a group full of hosts, the likelihood of finding a good cleaner who's reputable in that community is really, really easy. So those are the 4 big places you can find all of those roles. Next, I'm going to touch on onboarding and training your VAs. Again, it's one thing to hire them, but this is where the magic happens. You get to build your own VA to basically the goal is to take your brain and put it into someone else's head and try to replicate you as close as possible. It is really important to note that the first couple of weeks, most likely, is a training period to learn your business. Just because they've been a VA or a co-host or whatever on someone else's company, it is still different than your own company. So it's very important to be graceful during this time and be supportive, because The better you train them, the less of a headache they're going to be for you. And that's really, really crucial. So, with that comes training. I highly, highly, highly recommend you film everything that you do from the jump. If you are uploading new listings on Airbnb or a different OTA, film yourself doing it. You can use Loom and just talk through how you do it because you basically are creating your own training material for forever, so you don't have to backtrack and redo it. So I use Loom for my filming videos, and then I just upload them into a Google Drive, and I give my VAs access, and that is the virtual visual training material. And then outside of the visual ones, I also have SOPs, which are written to make sure everything is seamless and everyone is working the same.
What I will say, this is probably one of the most important lessons that I wish that I learned 10 years ago starting Boostly, because there will come a certain point in time, if you are going to grow your business and scale it and potentially have investors or potential buyers knock on your door, the first thing that they will see is your data center. And that data center will mean nothing to a lot of people, but it will mean a lot for anybody who's gone through this process. And a large part of a data center is seeing how you do things within your business. We had to at Boostly last year, when we were potentially going to go through an acquisition that we in turn turned down, but we had to create this in 3 weeks. It was a nightmare because they wanted to know everything. And I was cursing every single day, every single hour, every single minute that I had to do this. I was saying, I wish I'd have done this sooner. So if you aren't and you are new, or even if you're not new and you're not, start doing it. And the cool thing about Loom, use loom.com, is that you can create now with AI and Loom SOPs within minutes. It is unbelievably quick. And again, you do your Loom, you take your transcript, put it into ChatGPT, say, hey, turn this into an SOP, boom, you've got it. So really, really, really good tip that.
Yes. And that's a good thing too. You talked about like selling or anything like that. Yeah, like you can't expect to have someone come and purchase your company if they don't know how it's ran. So it needs to be replicatable for not only your team members, but also those bigger things like, yeah, you might sell one day. How are they going to take it over? Having SOPs is just non negotiable. All right, these next couple of slides are going to be pretty brief, but I'm a very visual learner, so I wanted to include these for you guys as well. I'm going to cover some of my training material that I have for my team. This is real screenshots from everything that I provide my team. I use Asana. It's my favorite. There's also Notion. There's a bunch of them, monday.com. You can pick which one you like. I like Notion. Asana. So these are some of my training materials. I have AM checklist, PM checklist, daily checklist, all of that. The first one being is their AM workflow. So as you can tell here, every single morning when they clock on at 10 a.m., this is the checklist they go through. There's obviously a bunch of different things, but they come in, they click it, that it's done, and that's it. It notifies me as soon as they finish a task. And this just keeps them on track because you do the same thing every day. They might get a little comfortable or they might forget to check something. So having this is really helpful to keep them on track as well, and also notify me that, hey, they are doing everything and we're not letting anything fall through the cracks. The next one is the PM workflow, which again, basically the same thing, except this is for the PM shift. So there's a little bit of different criteria here, but they do the same thing, exact thing. They clock on, they check it, and then it just notifies me that they've done everything that they need to do.
I do like seeing this direct bookings little checklist. That's speaking to my heart. All right, guest workflow.
Guest workflow. So this is basically everything from when a reservation is booked to when they check out of their stay. So as soon as they're uploaded into this reservation confirmed, they automatically move through the workflow themselves. So we touch on everything of when the reservation is booked, if any fees need to be collected, so they do early check-in, late check-out, if they completed their TrueV application, if it was approved, if it was denied, if they were doing any in-person check-ins. Everything is covered. And again, this just makes sure nothing falls through the cracks. It seems redundant sometimes, but I'm telling you, if you don't have these systems, you're going to miss things. You're going to leave $35 early check-ins on the table, and that adds up, especially at volume. I love talking about this one. So this is verbiage. So again, it's one thing to have these VAs, but it's a completely other thing to train them on how to run your business and how to basically be you. That is the whole point of this, of having a team, is to have them become versions of you. And with that, I had to train my VAs that, hey, I am a 22-year-old girl, okay? And I maybe am not the most professional texting person ever. And it's okay to throw in a little emoji in there sometimes. Like, it's fun, it's lighthearted. Match my vibe. Because when these people book, like my profile on Airbnb is me. So they see a picture of me, that have a description of me, and it's very me, you know? It's fun, it's young, it's obviously still professional, but I wanted that verbiage to be replicated by my team to keep that experience seamless. So training them to talk like me is also crucial as well.
I love this because, yeah, at the end of the day, if your team basically try and turn you into a robot, then the guest is going to be like, hang on a second, this isn't how a 22-year-old girl from America talks. Why are they saying, dear sir, madam? So I love it how you've got, this is Jazzy, one of your property managers here from CMH BNB. Thank you so much for the follow through. I love all of that. I love the verbiage. I like that. All right.
Awesome. Yeah.
FAQs.
Next is FAQs. So again, all of these material is to basically eliminate the friction between them coming to me for things. I want them to be as solo and confident as possible, so I have to give them as much information as possible. This FAQ sheet has literally everything on it. It has every single unit, every single complex, the emergency maintenance number, our virtual guidebooks, any parking information, amenity information, gym information, whatever they could possibly need on any single property is most likely listed here. And obviously, there's things that come up sometimes, and I just add another column. But having all of this makes them having to come to me and be like, Hailie, what's the maintenance number? They know exactly where to find it for all 58 properties. Next is your claims. So again, I track everything. Even if you have a guest come in and they break your couch and you file a claim, when you have 58 properties, okay, the last thing my team is probably thinking of is that claim on the broken two lamps. Okay, let's be honest. There's a lot of things that happen in a day, especially with that many properties, that sometimes it can get lost in translation. So we track everything. Every claim we track when we submit the claim, when the claim has been received, if we need to follow up with the email thread, if it was closed, how much we got paid out, all of that. We track everything. We also track our bad reviews, which we don't get very many, but the ones that I do get, I do track them. And I always try to get them removed if it's like valid to have removed. So I always will message the guest, submit the dispute, wait on the guest to respond, wait on Airbnb, and then kind of wait on if it was approved or if it was denied to either keep up or have removed. Tracking this is crucial, and also making sure that we're responding to all of our reviews. I actually don't think I have a slide about this, but my VAs also respond to all of my reviews, good and bad. I think it's important to respond to all of them, and they are in charge of going through every single review and saying, okay, we have a new 1-star review. This will go in the bad reviews page. They'll funnel through all of that, and then they'll also go through and respond to all of the reviews. So all the good ones, all the bad ones. I always respond to all of them, but my VAs do that.
All right, we are officially 25 slides in. Can we all just please show Hailie some love in the chat? I tell you what, they've got a lot of people are impressed. Maddie says you're a superstar. Antonella says you're amazing. Anne says what a girl. So yeah, really, really well done. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of love. We've had one person say, make this into a 2-hour presentation. Listen, we've got to be very, very respectful of Hailie's time. But don't worry, if you want to find out more about Hailie, I'm sure later on we'll give you domains and places to go to, because this is gold. And Matt just put, how did you get like this so young? So I feel like that's like a Stephen Bartlett Diary of a CEO podcast. I feel like that's like your podcast arc that you'll be able to tell this story one day. But
Yes.
phenomenal. Well, so we're halfway through. Feel free to take a drink because you've done a lot of talking, which is phenomenal. Again, keep your questions coming because I will go through them and we will go through them at the end. But But yeah, amazing stuff. All right,
Yay! I'm
let's
so
crack
happy
on.
everyone's enjoying it.
Amazing. Okay, so restock tracker.
All right. So as you guys could tell, this is different than Asana. So just like I was talking about time audits and how I continue to do them, I realized that these sheets were not as efficient as Asana. So I'm currently in the process of changing all of these old Excel sheets to Asana. So those newer ones you saw in Asana, this is a real transition I'm doing actively. So yeah, it just touches on the point that you need to continue to do it even as you scale. I realized that this was not as efficient for me or my team, so now I'm making it better. But I do have a restock tracker. This is actually an Asana now, it's just not fully complete, but it's going to be the same thing, just formatted better. But we track everything. So when we order new restock, if a cleaner orders paper towels, we track when it was purchased, when it was shipped, when it was received, and also the status of if they have received it or the delivery date is pending or it got pushed back. Just because overstock or restock can be kind of hard to track. And if you are just constantly ordering things through your cleaners, not saying your cleaners are stealing anything from you, but sometimes it can pose as a red flag of like, I just ordered 10 boxes of toilet paper. Why is it gone? And you can kind of go through and be like, okay, I haven't hosted that many people. The toilet paper should still be there. So it's good to have and also keep track of your expenses and all of that. Next is my communications. So I communicate with my VA team and my cleaner teams, everyone through Discord. I know Discord has like a gamer connotation to it, but it's just like Slack. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Slack. But it's just Discord, it's a different software. And I kind of color coded that picture on the left, everything that you can see. So all the different color blocks are per complex or per property. So I have the same channels for every single complex. So a couple of them are check-ins. So it would be X complex check-in, cleaning photos, and restock. So I have all of these channels with all of my team members. I also have a main chat, which is with me and all of my VAs. Every single VA is in that chat. And then all of these other separate channels are private per complex and per cleaning team. So my VAs are in all of these channels and they manage my cleaners. They manage the check-ins. They manage all of that, but we have all the same channels for every single property. And then we also have a VA checklist. I kind of just wanted to include this as well. This is something that I have them do where at the end of their shift, they just drop a little message on any big thing or anything that they did during their shift that they want to leave to carry over for the next VA. This is just like a little debrief of how their day went, but then in Asana, I can really go through and track. But if I just open up my phone, it's good to see this.
Here's a question. Obviously,
Yes.
I can assume that you do a lot of work on your phone. When you open your phone up, what's the first app that you go to?
Probably I don't know, it depends. Probably Discord, but it's just I have my students in there as well. So like I have students in Discord, I have my cleaning team in Discord, and if it's not Discord, it's Instagram.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
pretty it depends on the day. Depends on the day.
Oh yeah, that did make me laugh. All right, no, I do love a Discord. I mean, when I first looked at it, you're right. It was just full of crypto and NFTs and gamers. But the more that I've got to use it, I do love it. And if I could convince the Boostly people to move out of Facebook groups, then I would go to Discord. That would be the place. But I've tried it before and it failed miserably. So we're stuck in
They're
Facebook
not
groups
budging.
forever. They're not budging. They're not budging. But I do love that. Okay, next one, task management.
Task management. So like I said, I use Asana now. I'm currently in the process of transitioning from the Google Excel sheets, always trying to be better. But again, there's plenty of task management softwares. I use this for myself. I have separate channels that's just for me. I have to-do list, I have my daily workflows. Everything like that. If I have meeting days, I have a meeting workflow. If I have conferences, conference workflows. I have the same systems for myself as well, not just for the business, and also for my team members. I use Asana. There's so many different ones. Try them, see which one you like. But I definitely think and recommend you get one.
And just for everybody who is wondering, Asana is not a PMS. We're going to talk about PMS in a little bit, but Asana is task management, not your property management software.
Yes. So it's one thing to have them track their work, but really they can technically go through and just press, they did it. But how am I really tracking how they've done it? Performance trackers. I use Time Doctor. This is an extension that they can download on their laptop. And basically, what it does is it tracks everything. So it will randomly take screenshots of their screen when they're on the clock. And it also will track their idle time. So, if they haven't touched their mouse in 4 hours and their shift is 6 hours, it's like, I know something happened within those 4 hours. Time Doctor will notify me and track all of this. So every single day, most likely, I go in and I just kind of briefly overview. Now, have I gotten a little comfortable with my team? Yes. Should I probably be tracking this more? Yes. But unless I feel like things aren't really getting done, it doesn't really spark me to go do it because I have been working with them so long. But in the beginning, I was very heavy on this, especially during the training process, because I hired a couple VAs and this happened 2 times. I caught them doing their math homework on the clock. So it's like, okay, you're on the clock. You could do your math homework, just not on the clock. Like, I have all these obligations for you to do, and you're doing your math homework. I would not have been able to catch that, at least as early as Time Doctor did. So little things like that, it's important. And it's good to just track as well for yourself.
I can relate to that. I've had people playing video games while clocking in
Yeah.
and stuff. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard with these remote teams. It's hard.
Yes.
It is hard, but I do like that. This is a really good tool just for everybody who hires remotely. If you've not come across it, really, really good. And what I do as well is I've got an executive assistant who is amazing. Aini, she's phenomenal at keeping everybody to track because we've got 32 members of team behind the scenes. So couple in Time Doctor with Aini, we keep a very strict ship. So there's no more video games or maths homework during work time.
No more video games.
Yeah.
And also, too, another thing I just want to quickly touch on is that obviously I could probably be doing more in terms of going back through and really tracking to make sure, which a little comfortable with that, I guess, which I can admit. But the fact that they even have to go in and turn it on, they're more subconsciously going to make sure they do better because they know that you have the ability to go track it. So every once in a while, I'll hop in there and be like, "Oh, love how you did this," even if like I just watched that one little part to make them know that like, hey, I do go through and I do look and I am watching. So it's good to have. But yeah, anyways, moving on. The next thing is daily communications and weekly meetings. Like I said, I spend very little time actually inside the business. I couldn't tell you the name of any of the guests I'm hosting right now unless they cause problems, then I'm aware. So knock on wood, no problems today. It is also only 10:44, so it's still early. But being very open with my team and communicating with them has completely changed the dynamic of the business. They know that if they need anything, I am there. I am always have my phone. Always have my phone. I'm basically always on the clock, but they know that if they need anything, it's a safe space to ask me. If they're confused on how to do something, they can ask me. I'm never going to be upset with them. If they messed up and they're like, "Hey, I accidentally did this. Could you help me?" I'm always there. So communicating with them daily through text and Discord every single day. And then again, every single Friday, the picture on the right is our weekly team calls. So every single Friday, every single VA, the weekday VAs hop in, the weekend VAs hop on, and I also hop in there. And it's just the weekday team communicating with the weekend team and letting them know if there's anything that needs to be carried over. And then also I'm in there being like, "Hey, is everyone good? Proud of you guys this week. We had a killer week." Being just there and letting them know that they're supported has gone so far.
I love that.
And with them feeling supported, they are then empowered to make decisions without you, which is the biggest thing. They don't have confidence unless they feel like they are supported. And obviously, with that confidence, it takes time to build. So, having good training, making sure you as a leader show up for them, all of this will empower them to be able to do things and be like, "You know what? I did that right. Hailie would be proud and Hailie would accept this. This is right." They need to feel supported to go do these things on their own. payment. So since my VAs are international, my cleaning teams are the only ones that like are in the States because they physically need to be there. But everyone else is international. I use Payoneer. It's a global payment solution. There's a lot of other ones, but I've been using Payoneer for ever since I started, and it's super, super great. And that just makes paying my team overseas really simple.
Yeah, there's others like wise.com, etc., but
Yeah.
Payoneer is a good one. Payoneer is at least one. All right, this is where we're coming to the one where everybody will want to be knowing. We've had lots of questions about, hey, which PMS is Hailie using over here? So we're going to dig into this, I assume.
Yes. So it's a combination. The only way you can have a remote business is with two things, teams and tech. So all of this before was about my teams, but with my teams is directly partnered with my tech stack. So we're going to break down everything that I use in my tech stack.
And here's what I would like everybody to do. Before we crack on with the tech stack, can you please, everybody, just go and follow Hailie Marie on Instagram? So it's HAILIEMAARIE, which when we first got going, everybody tried to spell your name. Everybody failed miserably. So I'm doing it. So what I want for you to do, go and take a picture now of the screen. Okay, go and take a picture and go upload to Instagram and go and upload a story, tag in Hailie Marie and just say, thank you so much for this training today. Just go and show a little bit of love on Instagram. And if you're thinking, well, I don't really know Instagram, well, we taught you that on Monday. We taught you how to do the Insta on Monday. So go and take a screenshot, take a picture, go onto Instagram. Later on, tag in Hailie and say, thank you so much for this training and show some love because this has been phenomenal. Now let's go and stick in with this tech stack.
I love the little affirmational moments in here. I need it to keep going. All right, so we're gonna talk about my automation formula. This is some juicy stuff. Definitely take a picture. Make sure whatever screenshot you use, make sure I look decent. Okay, if I look bad, take a new one. All right. So first thing is my PMS. This basically centralizes everything. I don't know how people operate without a PMS. And I use HostAway. I recently just transitioned to them. I have used all of the big players, all the small players. Switching a PMS is never fun. I don't recommend it for anyone. But I think I finally found one that I can grow with to those bigger scales that I plan to. And basically, if you're not familiar with the PMS, it's a property management software. It centralizes literally everything. So when I first started Airbnb, I had no clue how people were listing on Airbnb, VRBO, booking.com at the same time and not like I thought they had to log into VRBO and booking.com every single day to respond to different messages. But really, with a PMS, it centralizes everything. So instead of logging into all these different softwares, you have one calendar. This one calendar has all of your bookings. If you have a booking with Airbnb for 4 days, and then the next booking is with VRBO, it's all on one calendar. All of your messages are centralized. All of your cleaning is centralized. Everything is in one place. And it makes listing on these other OTAs, which is very important to get more visibility, a lot easier. That's the backbone, the heart and center. And then with that, you can then integrate with all these other softwares as well. I use Price Labs for my dynamic pricing strategies. It is, I, again, had no clue. I thought people just like randomly came up with what they priced their properties. And some people do that, but they're leaving a lot of money and probably occupancy on the table. So with dynamic pricing softwares, Price Labs specifically, it basically tells me what I should be pricing my properties at in every single market. Every single day, that number changes for very specific data driven reasons. Also, if there's things going on in the local area, there's a huge concert coming. Sometimes I log in and I'm like, what is going on this weekend? Why? It's like $200 more than normal. They track all of that to make sure that you are pricing your property correctly. You get the most money and the highest occupancy rates. Outside of that, is my cleaning team. I talked about this earlier. I use Turno. You can hire, you can train, and you can also basically have their calendar synced with yours. So it updates in real time. So if someone extends their checkout and they're no longer checking out today, the cleaner will automatically get a notification that, hey, they don't need to clean that property anymore. The odds of you catching that in real time in terms of a software catching it not very likely. And also, you can have checklist internal. So they can't move forward without taking a picture of the trash can, or they can't move forward without taking a picture of the bed. This also helps if there's any claims that need to happen. If a guest checks in and says, hey, the bathroom is disgusting, and they send you a picture, you have a picture of your cleaners who just cleaned it, showing how it looked before the guest checked in. So also, if you need to file a claim with Airbnb, that makes it super simple. Outside of that is my guest verification and protection. This is a newly integrated software that I use, but honestly, there is a lot of gray area and fine lines where these OTAs say that they verify their guest, Airbnb specifically, like, oh, identity verified. If you read the fine print, it basically says, hey, we asked for their ID and that's it. Like, they're not doing any sort of vetting whatsoever. I have had so many horror stories that could have been prevented if I had just done background checks and things like that on my own. So I now use Truvi. I have every single guest ID, front, back, and selfie with it. And they only get the code to the property after they submit their form. So Truvi is integrated through Hostaway. All of these are. Basically, it's just another automated message. I don't even notice that it goes out. It gets sent out before they check in, prompting them to fill out their form. They submit a picture of the back of their ID, front, selfie with it, and then Truly then goes off and does their own verification and protection. You can add damage waivers. You can add all of that kind of stuff through Truvi. And if I ever need a guest ID, I have access to it through Truvi. Next is my virtual guidebooks. As someone who primarily has properties in apartment complexes, one of the biggest struggles, especially in the beginning, was the check-in processes. I don't know about you guys, but going to like a friend's Airbnb and on the way there, I'm stressed out. I'm like, where do I park? Where's the elevator? Do I walk in through the leasing office? Is there a back door that I walk in? I am panicking. So you have to think, I have 58 properties. I'm hosting people, basically new people every day or every other day. That is a lot of room for confusion. So with TouchStay, I am able to upload videos, which is my favorite thing. You can upload photos for your check-in process through Airbnb, but videos has been a game changer for me. Anytime I'm there, if I'm there staging the properties, I will take the videos myself. I'll go to the parking garage and walk exactly from their parking spot to the elevator door. And then I have all this content. I will edit it, so I'll make it quicker. I'll add captions because sometimes people maybe are deaf and they can't hear, so I include captions on the screen. And I upload this all into my TouchStay guidebook. So again, it's just another automated message that goes out. They click it and they can watch everything they need to do. I also walk from the elevator to every single unit. If you're on the 9th floor, I literally will walk from the elevator to the 9th floor. Time consuming, but literally, I've had so many reviews highlighting the check-in process simply for the fact that there's videos. Also, Bestie AI, this is new AI messaging that I am using. So during one of my time audits with my team, I realized that in the beginning, I was spending most of my time doing guest communications, so I outsourced it to my VAs. Now, 2 years later, my VAs are extremely qualified to do a lot of high-level things, and honestly, a time waster for them was guest communications. So there's now AI, which is amazing, where I've been able to eliminate that from my VA's workflow. And now it's not 100% reliant on these AI messaging, but it takes up it saves them about 50%. There's about 50% of messages that go out through Bestie AI without my team having to send them. And that's 50% of their time that they get back as well, that I can then have them go do more important things. So there's a bunch of like win back automations, direct booking automation, so many things you can do with Bestie AI. And this is a newer one for me as well. But as they kind of grow and add things, I've been able to delegate more and more to relying on them. And then outside of that, these two things, I guess, aren't really tech, but they're crucial to have. A good bookkeeper, a good CPA. I use TrueBooks. I met him at HostCon in, where was this? Houston, I think.
Yeah, Houston.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. He has experience in short-term rentals in Airbnb. So like that was a big issue I was running into. I was hiring like ma and pa's to do my taxes. And when I got the bill, I was like, I have to pay all that? So he's helped me save a lot of money and learn like a lot of like legal loopholes on how to pay less money in taxes. Um, so just find someone, even if it's not them, who knows about the industry, I think is crucial. And also, you want to make sure your bookkeeping is good from the jump. You don't want to screw yourself come time taxes come around, trust me. And then Discord, where I do all of my communications. This is the whole, every single thing is covered here. Everything.
This is fantastic, and as you can imagine, there are questions, but obviously everybody's got to understand when you're choosing a tech, it's not that Hailie's tech stack is like the blanket tech stack that you should all use, right? Obviously, these work for Hailie, but most importantly, her team in so many different ways. You could easily substitute Hostaway for Hospitable, or for Guesty, or for Hostfully, or for the loads of other PMSs. You can substitute dynamic pricing with Price Labs to Wheelhouse, Cleaning, Turno to Breezeway, Guest Verification, TrueV to, and then AI messaging. I know Sam Dundas are besties so well, but there's so many others that are out there, and obviously now Hospitable do AI and Hostway do AI. What is really important with this is that everything that Hailie brings into her business, as you can tell from how thorough Hailie is with every other single vertical within her business, it has to fit the flow, and more importantly, has to work with the team. And that is really, really, really important. So everybody's saying, what about X? What about Y? So that's truly, truly, truly important. One thing that's really good that's come up, and I am a massive fan of TrueV, which used to be Superhog. The whole guest verification thing is so important. How do you get around, or how does you or your team get around it when a guest comes to you and says, hey, I don't want to give my ID?
We don't host.
There you go. See, that's the question. You don't host them. And at the end of the day, if your guest, if you had a type of person who is going to say, I don't want to give my ID, then why do you think that person doesn't want to be giving up their ID? That's the question you should be asking yourself.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. And also, I've noticed too, operating from a non-scarcity mindset. Just because this person inquired and was going to book, I'm very confident that if they don't meet my requirements, I'm going to get booked anyways. Whether it's with them, it's most likely going to be with a higher qualified lead anyways. So once you take that scarcity out, you know your systems and operations work, you know getting 100% occupancy every day is going to happen. It eliminates you lowering your standards just because someone doesn't want to send you their ID. I know if I go somewhere and someone asks, I'm like, sure, I know I'm not going to do anything. Here's my ID. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, 100%. So here's why I throw the question to everybody in the audience who is watching. Obviously, we've got PMS, dynamic pricing, cleaning, guest verification, virtual guidebook, AI messaging, bookkeeping, Discord. What are you using? What is your tech stack? Because again, this is a really cool topic to have, and it's the tech stack is very, very important. I am so jealous of everybody right now with the tech stack that you all have available to you, because when I came back into the family business in 2011, we had nothing. We had a pen, we had paper, we had Tipex, we had erasers. So we had nothing online. We had no PMS, we had no dynamic pricing. When we came to doing our pricing, we just literally put our price up by £1 every year. We were awful at it. And so now that the tech and the stack that you all have is unbelievable, and I'm so excited for all of you. So love that, and there's loads of different ones coming through. Right, let's go to the next one because we've got about 5 or 6 more slides to go.
All right. So, like I've mentioned before, with tech and teams, I've been able to build this amazing empire. And without both of them, I would not be here. And also, I've done this, scaled so quickly within 2 years without the guest experience being sacrificed. Last year, I did 1.4 million only on Airbnb, not considering direct bookings or any OTA. This year, I'm expected to do over 3 million just on Airbnb at this 58 properties. If I sign these 35 more and it's still only May, hopefully I'm like 5 million. I don't know. Let's keep it going.
Amazing.
And also with 5-star reviews. Last year I hosted over 11,000 nights, 92% overall occupancy with over 2,400 reviews. Obviously, it's 4.87, okay, not 5 stars, but you can't win them all. So I take that as 5 stars. It's close enough. And yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yes, that is very incredible, seeing that you've got over 2,000 reviews. So well done.
Thank you. All right, and then just to kind of wrap it up, I'm going to talk about some bulletproof SOPs that can allow you to completely remove yourself. I've talked on them a little bit, but I'm just going to reiterate it again to close things off here. Without SOPs, adding more properties means adding more work. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but so this 35 unit deal I might close, or I am going to close, if I add on these new properties, I have the full blown confidence that I am not going to be insanely stressed out during this next month because I just onboarded 35 new properties. I'm like at ease because everything has a system. Everything is seamless. It's not necessarily more work or more stress. It's just you implement it again, you rinse and you repeat. And with SOPs, you and your team can scale without adding that stress. Obviously, when you add on 35 units, it's going to be a little bit busier, but it's not necessarily more stressful. It's just redoing the same thing they've done the whole other 2 years. And there is literally SOPs for everything. You can create them with your Loom recordings, put them in ChatGPT. You can create them yourself, whatever it is. Having SOPs is crucial. There's guest communication SOPs, cleaning SOPs, guest check-in, check-out SOPs, pricing SOPs. You name it, every single aspect of your business can have an SOP, and I think it should have an SOP. It's just you need it, okay? If I reiterate anything, you need SOPs.
I think that's a slide. SOPs. You just need it.
Yes,
Okay.
you need it. That's it. And also, another important thing with these SOPs, not only is it good to have and, reassuring to have, but it makes training new team members literally so simple. My VAs are actually the one who train all of my new employees. So if I were to sign a 7th VA today, hire one, my head VA or someone below her would then train them with those SOPs and those virtual videos in the Google Drive.
There's a really good question come in, and I was going to ask this. What does SOP mean?
Systems of operations.
There you go. Systems of operations. Guests should have a seamless experience.
Yep. So they should have a seamless experience no matter what property they stay in. If they stay in Nashville, Tennessee, and they stay in a property in Austin, Texas, all hosted by me, their experience should be 5 stars no matter what. Their communications with my VAs should be the same, whether they're talking to Becky or they're talking to Tiffany. It should be the same because they're all following the same exact thing. And yeah, basically the secret method, automate, delegate, and scale. That has been able to get me to where I am today. And on this next slide, I also included some pictures just to show you kind of what I've been up to recently. I did 2 months completely backpacking. I went to Southeast Asia. I went to Europe, literally all with my laptop and my phone. And this was last year in March. So I only had 48 properties, but I was in Japan, I was in Thailand, I was in Greece, fully remote, literally fully remote. And I was still running my business exactly like I am today. So yeah, if you guys want to connect with me, this is my little popple. I just discovered this not that long ago. All of my information is on there, my socials, I think my email. Anything you need to connect with me is there. And if you want to message me, if you have questions, I'm an open book. So just shoot me a message and I'll be more than happy to help.
I think that deserves one of these. Well done. Can
love
everybody please show Hailie Marie all the love in the world? Tap that love heart emoji button if you're watching on the socials. Drop some thank yous in here. There's a lot of people asking about courses and help me, help me, help me. Obviously, if you scan that popple, and I'll put the links in the WhatsApp later, it'll take you to Hailie's landing page, and I'm sure there'll be more information about how you can potentially work with, because you obviously use Discord a lot, and obviously you've got coaching clients in there as well. How many people at the moment are you currently helping with their business, would you say, Hailie, just top of your head?
I checked yesterday, I have 857 students, all on different levels. So I have complete beginners, and then I also have people who are trying to scale and optimize. So they already have properties. Maybe they have 20, maybe they have 30. So yeah, I help everyone. It's beginner friendly, expert friendly. There's room for me to help all of you.
And obviously in there was a burning question. So obviously you do the arbitrage model, which for a lot of people, it could be known as subleasing or rent to rent. Basically, you find a homeowner, you go to said homeowner and say, hey, I'm going to take this property off your hands. One of the questions is, how do you find new homeowners? So in 2025, I assume people just give you deals, but what's one of the core things that you're teaching people when you're saying, someone says, Hailie, how do I get in front of a new owner?
It's really a volume. It's a numbers game. A lot of people will come into the business thinking, oh, and I mean, social media makes it seem this way. It's super easy, blah, 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 blah. You join in 2 weeks, you can have a property, which you could, but are you actually doing what it's required within those 2 weeks to get there? Probably not. It's a numbers game. So if you're coming in doing 20 outreach messages a day, you are just going to make yourself very, very unlucky. If you come in and you do 100 outreach messages a day, you're just increasing your chances of getting lucky and getting a yes. So it's really just a volume. You need to outperform your competition. You need to call more people than your friends are calling.
And obviously, because now you're getting a bit of a name for yourself and whatnot, you're becoming the go-to that we talk about a lot. Are you getting other opportunities, for example, management, co-hosting, investments, etc.?
Yeah, it's been really imposter syndrome I mentioned earlier. It's been weird. Like I feel like I'm getting more and more opportunities every day, and I owe that to like the brand and social media that I've built online. But yeah, I'm getting people who are like, "Hey, we have 800 units and we hate our traditional PM company. Can you help me?" So yeah, it's definitely, and I think too, there's a lot of these older people who have been operating in the industry for a really long time are so used to just hiring huge known property management companies who aren't even fulfilling. Like the guest experience is terrible, their systems are terrible, they're not happy. So now they're coming to people like me who are kind of more on the newer side because the industry is always changing and adapting. And I think they're kind of realizing, like, dang, these property management companies aren't really doing enough. And now they're coming to people like me to help them, make more money and get more units.
Amazing. Hailie, thank you so much for that. Obviously, please, everybody, go and take a picture. And hopefully, you have been taking pictures. Go onto Instagram, go open your stories, tag in Hailie Marie so she can see all the love later on when she's on the phone. Because obviously, as Hailie said, after
On
Discord,
Instagram.
Instagram's the next best place that you're going to find her. I can vouch for Hailie's social media skills. I do love checking in and seeing the stories and seeing that is amazing. And obviously active on TikTok as well. But yeah, just remember, as Hailie's talking, 22. Unbelievable. Right? 22 years old. It is amazing to see. And listen, it is an absolute, for me, like I say, the reason why I put this boot camp on is that I wanted to showcase new voices, new speakers, new talent. And between yourself and Emily and Fede yesterday, I feel like we just hit a home run here. So thank you so much for being part of it.
Yes, thank you for considering me and allowing me to do this. I look up to you obviously in the industry as well, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to share my knowledge. And yeah, I'm so happy. It's 10 a.m. and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm feeling
Psyched.
inspired,
Yeah. Well, you're
motivated.
going about to go check in with your team. The
Yeah.
Discord's going to be flying. So awesome. So for everybody asking, yes, this has been recorded. Yes, yesterday's was recorded. Yes, Monday's was recorded. It is all in the Facebook group and it will be there for 7 days. 7 days. So you've got the rest of this week to go and check it out. This time next week, it'll disappear because we've got to get ready for our next boot camp. The next boot camp I'm going to be running is the end of June. I'm going to get dates announced soon, and we are going to focus solely on the MTR strategy, the 30-day stay plus strategy. I've lined up 3 amazing speakers, Ruben Kanya, Dr. Rachel Gainsborough, Ryan Luke. We're going to focus just on that strategy in the next boot camp. We're going to get it in before the summer holidays, before the summer gets going crazy. So it gets you all set up for the shoulder season, as we call it over here. But again, thank you
Be
everybody for
there.
tuning in. Thank you very much, Hailie. I love it. And we're